I'm taking a break today from my usual content of piano tutorials and piano skills and musicianship so that we can have a serious conversation about something that is a problem for so many musicians. That topic is practicing. Today, I'm going to talk all things practicing, and I'm going to show you the custom-made ultimate practice planner that I use with my students and the members of my membership, The Versatile Musician. And better yet, you're going to get a copy of it today. Stick around. I'm Brenda Earl-Stokes. I'm the owner and creator of Piano and Voice with Brenda. I make creative and practical resources for singers, pianists, and music educators. And as I said, practice is one of those make or break things in music. And maybe this is something that you have struggled with too. Lots of my students talk about motivation, about, kind of keeping on task with things. And what I realize is most people, like 99% of people, don't really have a practice plan. And as the old moniker says, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. And in my own practicing life and the lives of my many, many students across ages and levels, is if we can come up with an organized plan, you'll be astonished how much more you can get done in a lesser period of time. And so today I'm going to show you my ultimate weekly practice planner, which I'm pretty sure might change your life. So as you can see on the screen here, this weekly practice chart has several sections. Right on the top, it has the date. Below that, you can see that there's goals for the week. This would be where you would start to think about, well, what do I want to accomplish this week? And again, maybe that's not something you do. Maybe you're going from lesson to lesson, kind of thinking, I don't know what we're doing. But your goals for the week could be finishing a song, learning a new part of a section of a song. It could be mastering a chord quality. Whatever it is, you set your goals there. All right. Now, this box down here is inspiration. And this may be a recording that you've been listening to that's been inspiring, or something that maybe your teacher has recommended, or something you've been thinking about a lot lately. This could be a quote. This could be a song. This can be, pretty much anything you could put in there for inspiration. Now I'm going to take you through the rest of the practice plan. Everybody's work, whether you're a singer or a pianist or whatever style of music, it doesn't matter, is we always have to focus on what our technical work is for the week. So what you can see here is I have a section that's all about technical work. And in here, you would write, what scales you're working on, or arpeggios or chords. Is there, other technical work like hand and exercises that you're doing? If you're a singer, are there a few exercises that you've been working on specifically? So you have a couple of lines there to throw in your technical work. Then what I like to break down is what your main work and your secondary work is. Now, a lot of my students are taking voice and piano with me, or are singers taking piano with me. So their main work might be something like the piano skills work that we did for this week. Or it may be, songs that they're working on. Whatever it is their main. The secondary work would be anything that is, supplementary to that. So are you doing ear training work? Are you doing solfege? Are you doing sight reading? These are all things that you could think about as your secondary work. And finally, below that is review. And maybe you will be working on, reviewing songs that you've done already. That's something that you could consider putting in there. Now, this little funny section here called the poop list, I want to focus on in particular. So what I like to call the poop list, you can call it a stronger word if you want, but I like to call it the poop list. These are anything that you are having struggles with. So this might be the dreaded bar 19 and 20 of the piece you're working on. This could be the bridge of the song you're struggling with. This could be the couple of high notes that you never land in the particular piece. You're going to be very, very specific on identifying what is supposed to be on the poop list. All right. And, you don't have to have five things on your poop list, but definitely putting a few in there. And the idea here is that you're going to be focusing on what you are doing, wrong, or what you are struggling with. And that's where you're going to start. All right. So that would be taking a few minutes and figuring out, what are some things that I'm really struggling with that I want to do that strong work on. Okay. And I'll go into more detail with this in a little bit. Finally, on the bottom are notes. Is there anything that comes up in your practice time that you're thinking about? Do you have any notes that your teacher or notes that you got from a YouTube video, like one of my YouTube videos where I say, make sure you curve your fingers? Whatever it is, you put it in there. All right. Now, up at the very top up here, you can see I have these little boxes, SMT, WTFS. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And so this is going to give you the opportunity to check off each of the days that you practice. And this is also a really, really nice visual reminder. If you're somebody that likes to put a check or an X, that makes you have that kind of don't break the chain feeling. That's really fantastic. It's also a great way for you to give yourself a realistic look at how many, days a week you're able to practice. So as you do one of these for every single week, maybe you'll notice that, wow, that's interesting. I never practice on Wednesdays. So that's like a piece of information for you to have as you're tracking your time. You'll also notice next to the poop list here that there are boxes there. So once you've corrected something and it's no longer sounding poopy, you can take it off the poop list. So as you can see, this is a really, really organized way of working. And I have to tell you that when I start to convert my students to working this way, their productivity goes through the absolute roof. And my own son, who's 11, who's taking piano lessons with me, we do the same thing where we write all of this down in an organized fashion. So when he sits down, he doesn't have to think about practicing. And this is something that, again, comes up a lot with people, is that you sit down to practice and you might say, like, ugh, I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. I'll just play through some songs a couple of times. You're not actually making any progress that way. So if you sit down with this plan, it becomes very easy to stay organized, but it's also a no-brainer. So if you sit down at the end of the day and you're like, ugh, what am I supposed to do? You just look at your weekly practice planner and, you're ready to go. You're all set to rock and roll. So I'm going to take some time now and I'm going to fill out the weekly practice for sort of a sample student, just so you get an idea of how to use it. So here we are with my trusty clipboard and my trusty pen, and we're going to fill it out. So today is Monday, October 23rd, when I'm making this video. And then I'm just going to write October 23rd, 2023. And the sample student that I'm going to give you is somebody who is studying piano for singing with me. And so this week, the goals of the week are to master major chord inversions and to finish Crazy on You. Okay. And to practice Hanon in the key of G. Okay. So those are our three main goals. So if nothing else takes place this week, this would be the three things that we would want to do to make sure we've got them all set up. Now, right off the bat, I'm going to look at the technical work, and you can see we've got Hanon in the key of G. And so what I can write is Hanon, key of G. And I could also work for master major chord inversions. That could also be something that we put in there. So you could say major chord inversions, right? And then we've got our technical work taken care of, all right? So we're going to go down a little bit to what our main work is. And I would say this week, the main work is Crazy on You, because that's the song that we're working on. That's by heart. This is one of my students that's doing. So Crazy on You is the main part of the work here. And this is Crazy on You, the piano. And then it's also Crazy on You, the vocals, right? Because she is also working on the vocals, all right? Now, for secondary work, this particular student has been working on some sight reading. And so what I would put here for secondary work is sight read pages 16 and 17 from the sight reading book. So that's the secondary work. And then underneath for review, I'm going to have her review some of the songs that we did before. So one of those songs was Tiny Dancer, which would be nice to review. And the other one was the Sheryl Crow song, which I'm forgetting what it is right now. So we'll just write Sheryl Crow. She'll know what I'm talking about. Ooh, no E on the end of that. And so now it's very clear what she needs to be working on in what order. So hand and key of G, major chord inversions, and then the main work of these couple of things here, secondary work, sight reading. And then if there's time, we're going to get into our review here. Okay. So now when she sits down to practice, it's very clear what she needs to do. Maybe she has, an hour to spend, in which case she could break up the time accordingly. You would want to spend the most amount of work on your main work. So if she's got an hour, this would be maybe 30 minutes, right? The technical work, maybe this would be 10 minutes. The secondary work would be maybe 10 minutes. And then the review might be 10 minutes, right? Now, if she only has 30 minutes to practice total, then maybe it would be 15 minutes here, right? Maybe it would be 5 minutes here. Maybe she would say, I don't have enough time to do this, so I'm going to do 5 minutes of technical work, 15 minutes of crazy on you, and we'll call it good, and I'll have to save this for another day, all right? From there, we can start to think about the poop list. And remember, the poop list is here to identify any sections that we already know that you're having difficulty with. And so in this case, it's the left hand bass line of Crazy on You. Like we know that that's already a problem. And then the backbeat rhythm, right? We know that the backbeat rhythm of that section is there. And then we're going to say the bridge of Crazy on You too. And that's the vocals, because that was something that she was having difficulty with, right? And so these are 3 things on the poop list. So when she has her time breaking up her practice time, she might do a couple of minutes of technical exercises. And then she might say, you know what, today is going to be the day that I just get this bass line out of my poop list, practice it a bunch of times until she's able to play it. And then tomorrow when she sits down to play it, she can scratch this off. She's done. It doesn't have to be on the poop list anymore. You see how that works? So she could spend all of her time working on this. And then as she feels like it, she could say, you know what? I've got that. It's no longer on the poop list. I'll check that out. I'm going to work on this too. And so this is a reasonable number of things to get done in 1 week. Now, as for inspiration, I have been chatting with her a lot lately about, as a singer pianist, talking to her about Tori Amos. And so for inspiration, I told her to listen to Little Earthquakes by Tori Amos. And so that would be a listening, for inspiration. I might put a quote in there, and then any notes that I would put in here, and I could put something like curve your fingers on the triad inversions, right? So now looking at all of this, it is super, super clear what needs to take place, right? We know what our goals for the week are that she's going to try to accomplish. We know what problems there are on the poop list. We know this technical work that needs to take place, what the main work is, what the secondary work is if there's time, and then time to review if she has some extra time. She's got some great listening to do because, Little Earthquakes by Tori Amos is magic. And then a note on some technical things here. So when she sits down to practice, it's a complete no-brainer. What's great about a list like this is that you can really customize it. Kind of like I showed you a minute ago, is if you have an hour to practice, then you can kind of divvy up the time accordingly. If you have a very short period of time, like, maybe my student comes home from work and, the dog isn't feeling well, or, she's got an after work event and she doesn't have time to really get into it. But she's like, you know what, I got 20 minutes till my friend picks me up. I may as well sit and get something done. So then she can have a look and see what she's working on and say, Crazy on You is the big thing I want to work on this week. I'm going to really work on that. I'm going to try to bang out one thing on the poop list. And then if I have a minute or two left, I'm going to play, my Hanon in the key of G, right? So it's customizable in that way. Maybe Sunday afternoon rolls around and she's like, it's raining. There's nothing to do. I can really take my time with each of these things. Or as she's getting closer to the lesson, she can focus on certain things to say, I really worked on this, but I didn't work on this enough. So this becomes a fully alterable worksheet so you can really have a dynamic experience of practicing every single week. Once I started sharing the ultimate practice planner with my private students and the students inside the Versatile Musician membership, people started to rave about how much easier it was to sit down and get things done. No more like guessing or trying to figure out like, what am I doing or where did I leave off? It's all very clear on this weekly practice sheet. And you don't need to be working with a teacher in order for this to work. In fact, a few weeks ago, I recorded an album and I was using these same exact practice sheets for myself. So as someone who's a professional musician, I need to stay organized too. So every week coming up to lead it, about 8 weeks out of the recording, I started setting goals for the week. So one week, my goal was to work on, finishing one of the songs that needed lyrics. And then as the weeks went on, it started to become more specific. It's the piano section for this one, work on the vocals for this one, very, very clear what I needed to do. And then I was also putting things on the poop list. There was one particular spot I was having trouble improvising on, so I put that on the poop list. And as the weeks went on, I just was checking more things off. So I went into the studio with a much shorter turnaround than I would usually take. And I felt 100% prepared. And a lot of it just had to do with using my own resources. I hope this little video was helpful for you to start to think about how you work through your practice time. Again, people who have a difficult time getting motivated, sort of staying inspired in their work, like staying connected to it, or even just feeling like you're able to make like a real commitment to your practicing or your work. A lot of this just boils down to how organized you are. And if you are disorganized and you've got your stuff all over the place and you're not really sure what you're wanting to do or trying to do, then it will really lead to a downgrade in your productivity. But getting organized, making some clear goals for each week will really, really help you to get more done. And of course, as I've shown across the screen a few times, if you want one of these totally for free, my ultimate weekly practice planner, you can go to pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com/practice. I'll leave that linked in the description box below. You can go there, you sign your name up and you'll get one for free. And I'll give you some tips and tools on how to get more done in your practicing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you leave me a big thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I have all kinds of great content posting here every single week, usually on Friday and Saturday. If you want to know more about my work, you can go to pianoandvoicewithbrenda.com. There you can learn all about my work, get access to a bunch more cool freebies, and even learn about the Versatile Musician membership, my all-inclusive membership that teaches piano skills, musicianship skills, song tutorials, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.